7-4 to Whiskey Sierra, do you read? Over.
Whiskey Sierra here's your 7-4. Are you at the objective? Over.
Roger, Whiskey Sierra. Objective has been infiltrated. Proceeding with locating a responder transmission source. Over.
Roger that, 7-4. Secure the objective and return to base. Over.
Roger that, Whiskey Sierra. 7-4, out.
We need all hands at the Morgantown Airport base. I repeat, all responders report to Morgantown Airport right away. Bring any weapons you can. The Scorched are coming, and there's a lot of them. Please hurry. There's not much time. Chavez out. This message will repeat.
Welcome back, everyone. I would like to apologize in the delay in content as of late, as I have been busy with family priorities, work, and enjoying other games and hobbies. With summer coming forward, my plate will be rather full, but I will try to upload when I can. I would like to extend my hand out to each and every one of you and thank you for supporting the channel while we are yet still small. I hope we can continue to grow our community. There is still quite a bit of Fallout 76 lore to discuss and theorycraft around when we continue to wait for additional content from Bethesda, outside of course with regular Atomic Shop updates. We may even start to branch out into the earlier games. However, for now I would like to stick around the pre-Fallout 1 era, as there's just so many possibilities for storytelling. I love hearing everyone's feedback and thoughts on the matter. I do also still have guide videos I would like to put out for you guys, or at the very least reference guides, as I still personally believe in the choose your own playstyle by what you have fun with mentality. With that though, let us dive into perhaps as of right now Fallout 76's most diverse and potentially even plot twisting faction, the Responders. War tends to cause a massive amount of destruction regardless of its scale. Innocents are hurt and even killed, and many look to the underdog heroes of the civilian sector, such as law enforcement, the fire department, and medical departments during a crisis of existential scale, such as in Fallout's universe, a nuclear war. The Responders are just this, a group of policemen, firemen, emergency medical staff, and as we have learned recently, some National Guardsmen who have banded together for the greater good to help those in need. Before the opening of Vault 76, the Responders had posted their main headquarters in Charleston. Together, they helped each other and the local populace into building a promising organization meant to bring people together and rebuild civilization. Their influence spread throughout the forest region, and many of the former posts and robots can still even be found today as you make your way through the hills and mountains of Appalachia. However, their perseverance would again be tested as a group of raiders led by David Thorpe destroyed the Summersville Dam in an act of vengeance, thinking his lover Rosalind was captured or killed by the Responders. Inadvertently, he would kill her himself as she had merely been held prisoner there, and she would drown in the ruins of the Charleston building. After most of the city had been washed away and the Responders gathered their bearings, the organization got back up on their feet and proceeded to Morgantown, where they founded their new headquarters, which would eventually prove to be their final resting place. Their influence had not gone unnoticed, however. The newly founded Brotherhood of Steel attempted to coerce the Responders into merging with them and taking for themselves the technology they had, but nothing became of it, and they merely traded amongst themselves for munitions and supplies. The Free States had become aware of the Responders but continued to focus their efforts on building up their homes in Harper's Ferry. The Enclave had a vested interest in the Responders, as they would be ideal candidates for helping rebuild and influence others to join their cause, but something was about to happen that would ruin everything that could have been. Thomas Eckhart, the leader of the Appalachian Enclave, had become obsessed with gaining access to and controlling the region's nuclear silos to continue to wage war against China. However, the only way he could bypass the silos' DEFCON systems was to trigger an event that would trick the automated silos into believing his general would be able to access the silo. With that, he triggered a series of events such as reactivating Liberator drones, causing damage to the region and populace as well as spreading propaganda. Eventually, though, he would not only trick the silo, but also create something so devastating and so dangerous that it would become to what would some believe to be the end of the world twice over. He would give birth to the Scorched Plague. The plague would spread rampant across the cranberry bog. The mine shafts would become infested with scorched mutants and massive bats that would spread their radioactive spores throughout the various regions of Appalachia. Despite the Brotherhood's warnings about the Scorched Plague and their consistent demands and requests for supplies, the responders, more notably Maria Chavez, did not take into consideration on how dangerous the Scorched were until the faction's final days. Sub-factions were made, such as the Fire Breathers, a volunteer militia who specialized in fighting of the Scorched, who also helped halt the Scorched advance for some time. Eventually, though, the Scorched would attack Morgantown and eventually infect or kill everyone. The Brotherhood of Steel would be the last of the primary factions in Appalachia to fall to the Scorched Plague at Fort Defiance. Fast forward to the opening of Vault 76. After some time, the Vault Dwellers would pick up where the responders left off, such as finishing an inoculation or a cure rather to prevent and eradicate the plague. Eventually, they would gain access to the White Springs Congressional Bunker and ultimately the nuclear silos, where nukes were dropped and the Dwellers would face off with the Scorched Beast Queen, thus ending the Scorched Plague. News would begin to spread about a treasure in Appalachia. Those who had retreated from Appalachia would return to their home a completely different world than they remember. Others who were new to the region would come and look for opportunity. This, however, would not be the end of the responders' story. In 2104, a woman named Rucker would reform the responders as a testament of their courage to help those in need and those who had no home. Volunteers began to pour in, and eventually months later, the responders would be stronger than ever and holding a post at their new headquarters, the White Spring Resort. However, this would catch the eye of a faction known as the Management, who would willingly procure the responders with ultrasight power cells that would fuel a working vertibird. In my video covering the topic of the Enclave, I would theorize that the responders could have been influenced by the Enclave via reprogramming. While I still half-heartedly stand by this, you can find some very suspicious individuals roaming the halls of the White Springs claiming to be responder volunteers. Many in the Fallout community are wondering, what will become of the responders post the events of Fallout 76 into the later years of Fallout Tactics, Fallout 3, and Fallout 4? Some theories would suggest that much like the Brotherhood, they would eventually fade out, as we have learned from the previous titles that those who venture to Appalachia generally don't return. However, given their influence and the technology that they have access to thanks to the Management, they could perhaps spread their good-hearted influence to other Commonwealth territories we have yet to explore, or even to those we have explored before, but due to the massive time gap between Fallout 76 and the early titles, it wouldn't be too dismissible to say that perhaps the responders found their way to Washington, D.C. Maybe the responders never leave Appalachia and the Vault Dwellers of Vault 76 handle any relations between the responders and other outlying factions and organizations. I would like to think, though, that with an opportunity to influence the populace, the Enclave will perhaps wiggle their way to Appalachia and set forth some of the events of Fallout 3. With that, though, I would like to thank you all for watching this, and I hope to see what you guys have to say in the comments below. What do you think will happen to the responders? Will they continue to spread their goodwill, or will something much more sinister become of them? If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and most importantly, share this video. I love to hear other Fallout enthusiasts' thoughts and ideas, and bringing everyone together to share and discuss Fallout theory crafting can always be healthy and a creative way of expressing our thoughts. This is Doom Guy, volunteer for the Responders.